Welcome to Tech in the Right Direction, the podcast. This week, I'll be speaking with Shannon Meadows. Shannon was previously VP of Sales and Operations for Blackboard Inc., where she worked on a $182 million acquisition between NTI Group and Blackboard Connect. As Chief Revenue Officer, Shannon leads the sales and customer success organizations at BibliU. She's an industry expert in EdTech and digital publishing sales and go-to-market strategies. She has led companies in C-level roles in sales, marketing, and business development, building several startup businesses resulting in successful company equity events. Welcome to the show, Shannon. I'm so excited to have you on.
It's wonderful to be here. Thanks so much.
Great. Shannon, as a woman in tech, can you share with us your career journey and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. Well, I studied in college creative writing, as well as I had a computer science minor. And so I got into the technology industry in that way. And later in my career, I was encouraged to get into sales. And at one point, when I was with Macromedia, it was just at the dot-com crash in the 90s, when the company had done some research and assessed that about 30% of their business was coming in through the education sector, and they wanted to make that a dedicated area of focus for the company and asked me to lead their sales organization in that part of the company. And that's how I got into ed tech and kind of took that left turn from just technology sales and sales leadership. And I've been there ever since. I've really enjoyed the ed tech sales environment.
That's great. You really you took me back to Macromedia. I remember that. That was a long time ago, but that was great. So can you define ed tech or education technology, as you would put it?
Sure. The way I would call it, or the way I would describe ed tech, is the development of technology solutions for the education industry, which could be higher education, K-12 education, online education, on-ground education, and in some areas, I would say even the corporate learning space.
Nice. Okay. So it really encompasses anything in the learning environment.
Right.
That's great. So why is education tech so important?
Well, I think it's important for a couple of reasons. One is if you think about an education institution, it's really an enterprise at some level with a different mission than a business might have. But they need to implement digital just like a business does. And so many institutions are going through what they call digital transformation in so many areas, not only in the technology that does the administrative functions like a CRM or accounting systems, but also the technology that enables their mission, which is learning. And so transforming those enterprises is part of what education technology does, transforming them digitally. But I think even more important than that is really the fostering of social mobility, because education, I truly believe, and I think studies would show, is a way that people are upwardly mobile in society. And so what I think is important about about education technology is that it helps to expand the access to education and also lower the cost of education and provide it to more people, thereby enhancing their social mobility.
Yeah, that's great. It is very, very important, and you defined it very, very well. Education technology is in everything we do. We need to always be continuously learning. We never should stop, because I say, if you stop learning, then you're dead. You're not growing, right? So I think that's very important. So how does education technology intersect with current news trends?
Well, I think there are a couple trends that immediately come to mind. One is the loan forgiveness program that's
Hmm.
been a college student debt forgiveness that we've
Hmm.
been hearing so much about in the news, and there's been a recent program announced. That's one area because the reason we need loan forgiveness is the cost of education has increased so
Hmm.
exponentially over the past 20 years for a variety of reasons, one of which is that the government's not funding it as much as the government used to. And secondly, another news story that I've seen recently was colleges and their discounting methodologies, which may not be evident that to certain students that they might be able to get a better price than they're actually getting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those are two trends that where education technology is relevant.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And um, it is sad to see that our costs are increasing every day on learning, right? And so it's sad because we all need to make that part of our lives. And if it becomes cost prohibitive, then it becomes really challenging for some people. And we don't have equity in that area. But that's something that, is a bigger problem to solve. But just really interesting.
Yeah, I think so as well. And education is in the news all the time. So
Hmm.
another topic that comes to mind even is the impact on K-12 education during the pandemic and
Hmm.
the reading and math scores. So yeah, it I think is relevant to so many aspects of our lives.
True, very true. So, what is it like to be a disruptor in the edutech space?
Well, I really think it's exciting, actually.
Hmm.
I've enjoyed being a disruptor in the edutech space. I've been in the space now for over 20 years, and I've been with several startups that have been new category products. And one example is a company that was called the NTI Group, which was purchased by Blackboard
Hmm.
for $182 million in 2008, right before that downturn. And that was a mass calling tool that we were introducing. It was widely used in the K-12 space. It was
Hmm.
used for snow days and that sort of thing to close school. But in the higher ed space, they didn't think they needed it. Like, for example, the CIO of a major university in Arizona said to me there was no point in needing to call people because of a snow day in Arizona. And then tragically, there was the shooting at Virginia Tech that occurred.
Hmm.
And suddenly, all the people we talked to said they wouldn't need um, mass notification product. Suddenly everybody realized they needed one because you may or may not recall when that happened, but the president of Virginia Tech came on um, the news that day and said we had no way to call 14,000 people and tell them not to come to school. And in
Hmm.
fact, there was a way to do that, which was this technology. And so suddenly just the floodgates open and everybody had to have one immediately. And it was really an amazing market transformation experience to go through, having that level of demand and then having really ultimately leading to a company like Blackboard being interested in acquiring the company.
It's amazing how, circumstances make us change and think differently. The pandemic is a really good example because we have been in the virtual learning space for about 7 years now. And there were still customers that wanted in person, face to face. They would not even consider virtual learning. And then the pandemic changed everything. And they said, wow, we can do this. And it's really productive and it's cost savings. We can even access our people while they are in the classroom. And so, really, really interesting how, even like you said with Virginia Tech, the mass notification is so critical, but sometimes you don't realize it till you get into a situation that you need it.
That's absolutely the case. And you're absolutely right about the pandemic, because there were so many institutions who thought, oh, that is just too hard. We can't go online. There are so
Mhm.
many college presidents I've spoken to over the past several years who said, oh, we just never thought we could do it. And they were able to go online in record time. And I think surprised themselves at how well their organizations adjusted.
Yeah, adapt to. That's really true.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about BibliU and what types of problems are you solving in order to bring more value to students?
Yes, thank you. BibliU is a learning enablement platform that empowers higher education institutions to streamline their textbook and courseware workflows to achieve greater student outcomes, affordability, and ultimately social mobility. And basically, what that means is that we are helping schools to lower the cost of education by lowering the cost of course materials. So we help them take the book list, the list of content their professors have said are required for the courses. We match those exact books. We don't ask them to change the books in digital form. And we
Mhm.
make those available on or before the first day of class for every single student in the school.
Wow. So do you actually convert them from physical to digital?
We have a database of digital content, and we
Oh,
we obtain that from the publishers. So usually the publishers have done that digital conversion.
that's great. What percentage do you find that you're able to satisfy on that content?
Sure. Usually, I'd say in the range of 85 to 90% of any
Nice.
given book list.
Very nice. That, sometimes you wouldn't think that it would be that high, but it is. So there is definitely a need. And, we, in our learning environments, we always teach people that there's so much more you can do in a virtual environment and a technical online environment that you can't do physically, like search for a given, word that you want to go back and look it up and read on it, or go back to a certain bookmark or, whatever. And physical books just don't allow you that luxury to get there fast. So that's really interesting.
Yes, I agree that digital offers so much. And one of the other things that it offers is analytics, so
Mhm.
that the faculty or the administrators can see how much books are actually being used, which chapters are being read, or which chapters are not. And then also whether students have been engaging with the reading material, which is something you just can't do with a physical book.
That's right. That's so important to see. And then they can adjust their curriculum and their teaching based on what they found. And, if the majority of people are reading these 4 chapters and skipping this chapter, and they're still getting good results on their tests and those types of things, there's something to be said about that. And they can look at that kind of information and make decisions as to what is the best use of the learning classroom time.
That's exactly right. And digital also aligns very nicely with online learning, obviously, because the book is right there within the learning management system,
Mhm.
right there within the course.
Now, do you find that when you're doing that digitally, that most of the students should have dual monitors?
Well, that's a great question. That's not something that people necessarily feel is needed. I
Hmm.
find that a lot of people use their tablets to read, or
Okay.
sometimes even their phones. So I think if
Hmm.
they're really immersed in reading, they might be doing it on a device like that. But if they're referencing things, it's probably just as feasible on a laptop as well.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So they don't have to have any additional investment in additional monitors or, devices. So that's really
No,
great.
no, and
All right, go ahead.
another advantage is that they can also read offline or online. So
Mhm.
sometimes the concern of wireless access is raised in rural locations with community colleges, for example, and the students can download the book while they're online and consume the content while they're offline.
So when they're offline, they're consuming the content. When they go back online, does it update the reporting on
It
that?
does.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so I'm a huge fan of continuous learning. I said, earlier that I feel like if you're not continuously learning, you're dead. So can you share your thoughts as to why it is so important?
Yes, well, I think there are a variety of reasons. I personally am actually just embarking upon a completely online a Master in Fine Arts degree. So
Mm.
I'm personally consuming online continuous learning, which is an area of interest of mine that's very different than my career, obviously. Um, and it's also very important, I think, for people to be able to continue to advance in their careers. A lot of people are wanting to and need to gain additional skills in various fields to either get a promotion or get a new job that they like. And one thing I think that's become very evident during the pandemic is, there's been the great resignation and a lot of movement of people to different jobs, different careers, different opportunities. And I think the ability to gain more knowledge and skills enables people to do that.
That's great because then you're continuously growing as well. It's not just continuously learning for learning's sake, but you're growing. You're getting a new career, maybe you're exploring what things are gaps in your skill set that maybe you can pick up. And that's really, really smart.
Yeah, there are areas like, cybersecurity, for example, or various certifications in new software tools, I think are areas where people really feel they can increase their pay and salaries by
Mhm.
gaining those certifications.
That's great. That's great. Now, you've been in this business for over 20 years, like you said. As you look back on your career, is there anything that you wished you had known about leading a tech business or in the business that you're in that you wish you had known then?
Well, there's so many things.
Yeah, we all have a
Hindsight,
list.
that's right. Hindsight is 2020.
Yep.
But I would say a few things. One is, well, one thing I discovered midway through my career, which I wish I'd known about earlier, was actually a resource. It's a book called FYI.
Mm.
Have you heard of it?
I have not, but I made a note.
It stands for your improvement, and
Yep.
it's a list of the 65 or so competencies, defined competencies that are needed in business. And it describes them, it describes why they're important, it describes what good looks like, what bad looks, or overused. They don't say the
Mhm.
bad.
Mhm.
Overused looks like, and then it has a list of exercises you could go through to improve, and also a bibliography, a set of reading material for each one.
That's
And
great. I have to go get
yes,
that.
it's an excellent book. It's not inexpensive, but it's been such a good resource, and you can really go through it and objectively see things that you personally could improve on, or you could coach others to improve on.
Nice.
And then also, in addition, I think another thing that is really important to keep in mind, especially in a business like the ed tech business, is the balance between the mission of the company and the value drivers for investors. Because really, at the end of the day, my experience has been it's real very much of what occurs in the company is about the growth that investors are looking
Mhm.
for and their ultimate goal at the end, to recoup their investment,
Mhm.
whether it's through a sale or other means. And so many of the employees are very focused on the mission and
Mhm.
what is it we're doing for society? What am I contributing by being part of this company? And I think balancing those two things is an important thing to be able to do.
I completely agree, and many companies don't have that balance because either they're focused on, the value for investors, or they're focused on the mission and don't think of both. And they're so critical. Both are so critical. So that's really a great point.
Yes. And, the other thing, which it's kind of something people talk a lot about, but I really do think it makes a huge impact, and that's culture, the company culture. So the ability to, truly develop a culture where people feel that they feel empowered, they feel like they are genuinely working together, not against each other. And everybody respects the contributions of others, and that's just not an easy thing to identify or to create, but it is, when it's there and when it exists, it's really a great experience.
Yeah, that is so true. Culture is so, so important for any business to thrive and succeed. And, I was proud to say towards probably 2019 and on, we had come up with such a great culture in our organization. And that was from a lot of communication, a lot of inclusion, a lot of transparency that brought people's hearts and minds into the company. And that I thought was so important. And I didn't realize how great it was till, we start looking at other companies and say, wow, we were really, really good. And I'm not just patting myself on the back. It just really turned out, that balance of all those things really worked.
Yeah, it's so gratifying when that happens. And it's kind of a magical thing that's not so easy to achieve.
It's not. It took me years and years to get there. But, when we got there, you could really tell everybody was on the right seat on the bus. Everybody was contributing. Everybody felt included. Everybody's voice was heard. All of those things are so important. And it is really hard to do. But if you focus on it and you really make it your priority, you can do it.
I think so too. I think it's
Great.
doable.
Yeah, no, very, very important. I'm glad you touched on culture. All right. So I love to travel. I don't know about you, but I love to travel. So I always throw this question in here. So where is your favorite place that you've traveled to, and why?
Gosh, that's such a great question, and a hard one to answer too.
And it doesn't have to be one place, because some
Yes.
people have multiples,
Yes, yes. Well, I would have to say some of the best trips I've had. My husband and I are sailors, and so we've gone to various places, rented a sailboat, and taken it out for between 5 and 10 days. And we've done that in the Caribbean and also the South Pacific. And I would have to say those are my favorite trips.
Oh my gosh, that is such a hard thing to do, to sail a sailboat. I mean, there's just so much involved in it. I know my friend in Chicago had one, and we went on a boat ride with her and her husband, and it was constant doing things. It was just all the time. So you must really enjoy it.
We do enjoy it, but speaking of continual learning, we went and got certified. So we went and learned how and got a certification in order to be able to rent the boat. So that was a good outcome of continual learning.
And great that you and your husband did something together. That's so awesome as well.
Yes, it was really great. How about you? What is one of your favorite places you've gone?
I think Italy would have to be my favorite place, because just the culture there, the people there, the food, the atmosphere, the architecture, all of it came together for me. And we went maybe 10 or 15 years ago. And it's still like one of my favorite places. And we hadn't been to all of the cities in Italy. So I want to go back now, even though I have so many other places to go to that I'm like, I can't go a second time anywhere, because I have to get to the places I want to go. But I think, the Amalfi Coast and that area, I think I definitely want to explore, because I haven't been there.
Sounds amazing. We're just planning a trip to Italy, actually. And we were thinking of going to Rome and then taking what I've read about, the high-speed train to Florence. But
Yes.
have you taken that? I'm wondering.
We haven't. We actually drove, but we went to Rome, and I highly recommend Rome. Even if you sit in a little cafe and people watch for, a half an hour or an hour, it is so much fun. I love Rome. And the
Awesome.
fashion and the people and the hustle and bustle. I would not recommend driving in Rome. We didn't drive in Rome, but then we rented a car after that, and then we drove everywhere. But taking the train to Florence is like the best thing, because then you don't have to worry about getting a ticket or anything like that.
Yeah, I was hoping that the train was really fast because in the old days, you used to hear about the trains in Italy being slow. So I was
Yeah.
curious if it truly is
Did it say how
reliable.
long it takes
An
normally?
hour and a half,
Okay, that's not bad at all. I think it's
right?
much longer by car.
Yes, it sounds
Yeah.
very fast.
Yeah, it does sound fast. I think they've improved it over the years, and you'll be able to enjoy it. Their trains, we did take a train. I'm trying to think. This was in Spain, though. Spain, Barcelona to Madrid. And it was such a pleasant experience because they had Wi-Fi, they had plugs, they had everything to make your life really easy, Not
That's
that
great.
it let you unplug, which you should do, but
Right.
it was nice. It was really nice.
We need more of that here in the United States.
Yeah. So when will you be going to Italy? Which
We
month?
were thinking of going in November, but we
Ah,
haven't booked our flights, so it's still in the planning stage.
all right. Well, you'll have to keep me posted. Let me know how it went. Send me some pictures.
I will.
Yeah,
You can live vicariously.
that's right. That's right. No, that's great. Well, Shannon, this was such a pleasure, such an honor to have you on the show. Please share with our listeners how they can get a hold of you.
Yes, absolutely. My email is Shannon, SHANNON, at BibliU.com, BIBLIU.com. And I'm on LinkedIn, Shannon Meadows, and also Twitter at Shannon Meadows.
Nice. Well, thank you again. It was an honor and a pleasure to have you. And hopefully you'll join us on another show sometime.
Oh, thanks so much. It was a real pleasure to be invited, and I really enjoyed it.
Great. Thank you, Shannon.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to Tech in the Right Direction. Please take a minute to subscribe or follow so that you never miss an episode. Also, don't forget to like, share, and comment. Thank you. See you next week.
From IT skill enhancements to end user adoption training, Directions Training is your resource to help optimize the effectiveness of your technology investments. Over 500,000 students have taken advantage of our wide selection of technology and business training solutions, covering the most popular applications today, such as Microsoft 365, Azure, Windows 10, and more. As a podcast listener, we invite you to take advantage of an exclusive offer. Receive 30 days of free access to our Microsoft official curriculum, on-demand courses for IT professionals or end users. Visit us at www.directionstraining.com/podcast to claim this offer today. Hurry, this offer is only available for a limited time. Success is a journey. Ask for directions.